The United States men's national team had the perfect chance to bounce back this summer after that awful Nations League showing back in March, with 2 decent friendlies scheduled against Turkey and Switzerland, and a Gold Cup campaign that we had to win to restore hope into American fans' hearts. And that was crucial, especially with the World Cup we're hosting being 1 year out. But after this Gold Cup, we're left with more questions than answers, and honestly, for keeping it real, we're low-key cooked, I'm not gonna lie. So what exactly happened this summer with the USMNT, especially regarding the disastrous Gold Cup campaign? What are some of the current issues we're facing 1 year out of the World Cup? And is there any hope under Pochettino that we're gonna do well next summer? Well, let's take a look at how cooked the USMNT are with everything that recently happened in June and July. Now, the United States were heading into the June international window and the Gold Cup with something to prove. That's because after winning 3 Nations Leagues in a row, we got embarrassed in the most recent edition in March, losing to Panama in the semifinals 1-0, and then losing the 3rd place game to Canada 2-1. So it was extremely crucial that this summer, with 2 friendlies against European teams in the Gold Cup, that we try our hardest and win some games and silverware to try and bring hope back into USMNT fans' hearts. But then the roster came out, and it wasn't very good. First of all, 2 key players in Weston McKennie and Timothy Ware were missing from the Gold Cup, and that's because they had to participate in the Club World Cup for Juventus, even though in the middle of that tournament, Juventus tried to force Way out to be sold to Nottingham Forest, but whatever. And then Gio Reyna also couldn't participate with the US this summer, because he was with Borussia Dortmund at the Club World Cup as well, even though we literally only played 12 minutes with BVB this summer, so maybe they should have just given Reyna to us this summer, but whatever. So yeah, those 3 players couldn't participate. But then there were also others. Like Haji Wright was called in, but after the first game against Trinidad and Tobago, he got some hamstring injury and couldn't play anymore. Johnny Cardoso was called in, but he wasn't available for any knockout stage game due to injury. Ricardo Pepi, Serginho Dest, Anthony Jedi Robinson, Fullerene Balogun, Patrick Schulte, etc. were all missing due to injury. Yunus Musa decided not to play this summer due to personal reasons, and Christian Pulisic opted out of the Gold Cup to prioritize rest and recovery after a long season with AC Milan, and to make sure he's in the best shape possible at the World Cup that's a year away, which honestly just kind of made no sense. He also said in an interview afterwards that he was down to play against Switzerland and Turkey, but not at the Gold Cup, which kind of just left me more confused. Imagine your best player saying that he doesn't want to play at a tournament for his country. That's crazy. But you know what? I might be in the minority for saying this, but I kind of understand where Pulisic is coming from. Sometimes golf is more important.
US men's national team? Nah, I think I'd rather just hang out and play golf.
Okay, no, but seriously, I do understand it. If I was called in to play for the US and I realized I had to play with Patrick Agyemang up top, not only would I not show up, I'd also retire from the national team. Nah, but for real though, how's Patrick Agyemang a USMNT striker, bruh? This dude is genuinely cheeks. But Nabuto, his story's amazing. He came from D3 soccer. Yeah, buddy, I could tell. I could tell. It looks like he's still playing at D3 level, bruh. Baby looking ass. Bro fell down more times than he got touches on the ball in the final, I swear. It's honestly a disgrace that this guy gets called up. I'm sorry. Like I said on Twitter, he seems like a great, humble, genuine, hardworking dude, but he's not USMNT material. Let's be serious. Derby County probably watched that final and realized Charlotte FC just scammed them for like $10 million. They're probably trying to get a refund at this moment. I'm not trolling.
People don't understand the sport, and they don't understand that you can be effective without being like this clean, clinical. If he was a clean clinic, he'd be playing at Barcelona.
But anyways, enough about Agyemang, bro. Sorry, I got a little bit off topic. Anyways, even with these omissions, there were still some good players in Europe that we could have called on, like Josh Sargent, Tanner Tessman, Gianluca Busio, Alejandro Zendejas. He plays in Mexico, but he's still a pretty good player. Griffin Yao, Brian Reynolds, Joe Scally, etc. Oh wait, Pochettino just didn't call them up for whatever reason. Instead, he called on players like Nathan Harriel, Agyemang, Brian White, etc. Huh, interesting. Real interesting. But now it's time to talk about the matches. And we're going to start off with the friendlies against World Cup level opposition. And we're going to go over the first game against Turkey. Now, Turkey's a good team, and they brought some top players to this window, like Arda Güler, Kenny Yildiz, etc. So this was going to be a good indicator to see where we were at. And off the bat in the first minute, Jack McGlynn scored an absolute golazo to put the United States up early 1-0 in just the first minute alone. But the one thing we have learned this summer is that we can't hold on to leads. And after a Johnny Cardoso mistake, Arda Güler scored in the 24th minute to equalize the tie. That was a really bad mistake from Cardoso, I'm not gonna lie. His club form is amazing, but when he puts on that US jersey, he just looks so mid. Oh, and then 3 minutes later, Kerem Aktürkoğlu scored and Turkey would take the lead 2-1. Something that they would hold on for the entire 90 minutes as they went on to beat us in this game. First game of the summer and we're already off to not a good start. But it's fine, calma. We had the perfect opportunity to bounce back against a pretty good Switzerland side. Surely we can show a little bit more on how good we actually are. But then Pochettino puts out a lineup of Brian White as a starting 9, Walker Zimmerman in the big 2025, and Nathan Harriel. Bro, are we deadass right now? What the hell is he doing on that pitch, let alone the squad? And guess what? Poch got hit with a big reality check in this match. I mean, this lineup he put out couldn't even manage to get a shot on target. That's how disgraceful the performance was, and we paid for it. With a pretty solid winger Dan Ndoye scoring in the 13th minute, Michael Abishar getting a goal in the 23rd minute, the Swiss striker Bill Mbolo scoring in the 33rd minute, and then Johan Manzambi scoring in the 36th minute to make it 4-0 in the first half. And with Switzerland stepping off the gas pedal in the second half, the scoreline will remain a 4-0 destruction of the US. Wow. Just wow. Genuinely have no words for performances like this. It was an abomination. It was atrocious. To make matters worse, our biggest rivals Mexico only lost to Switzerland 4-2, 2, which is definitely better than losing 4-0, and they went on to beat Turkey 1-0. We can't even do that, bro. And we have a manager who we are paying $6 million a year to help us win these types of games. Fuck me, man. From this moment on, I knew it was going to be one long summer. But then looking at our Gold Cup group, respectfully, I knew we were going to top this one no matter how bad we actually are. And you want to know why? Because the other teams in this group were awful. Starting off with the game against Trinidad and Tobago, I mean, Trinidad is just awful, man, respectfully. We dog walked these guys. First thanks to Malik Tillman in the 16th minute after receiving a pass right in front of goal wide open. Then he would make it 2-0 himself after getting on the end of a cross in the 41st minute. Then Ajamong would have a goal in the 44th minute, but he literally didn't do anything. It was all Diego Luna. It just deflected off his foot and went in. Brendan Aronson would come off the bench in the 82nd minute and make it 4-0. And Haji Wright, who played his last game for the US this summer against Trinidad, scored in the 84th minute to make it 5-0 and helped us grab all 3 points. Listen, you can only play who's in front of you. But let's be real, Trinidad is not a good side. And I fully expected the US to destroy them, which we did. Now the next game against Saudi Arabia was going to be slightly more complicated because they were just going to go full soccer terrorist mode and just play super defensively, especially with them missing a ton of their top players with Al Hilal playing at the Club World Cup. So I fully expected them to sit in a low block, which they did, and they prevented us from scoring for the longest time in this match. They even had chances of their own, but luckily Chris Richards primarily did a great job at clearing everything that came our way. And shout out to Chris Richards again. He's the only real reason why we won this game, with him scoring from a free kick cross in the 63rd minute to help us grab all 3 points and help us qualify to the next round of the Gold Cup. But before we get to that, if we wanted to guarantee the top spot, we would have to beat Haiti the next game, and Haiti were awful at the Gold Cup too, so we should have taken care of business with ease. And initially seemed like we would, with Malik Tillman taking his opportunity well and scoring early in the 10th minute to put the United States 1-0 up early. However, Matt Freese would make a terrible mistake in the back, and Haiti would take advantage of that and score themselves to equalize the game 1-1 for the Haitians. And for the longest time, it did seem like we would drop points in this game, but luckily Ajamong did something for once. This was the only good thing he did all tournament, and he finally scored a goal he created himself at the Gold Cup to help us win 2-1. Shit guy finally scored. Charlotte FC started talking smack on Twitter after his goal too, with Ajamong also answering the haters. Which is fair, I mean, you did score. But let's keep it 100, Charlotte is mid, and so is Ajamong. They keep glazing his 5 goals in limited game time, but half of those were from Camp Cupcake or a super lucky deflected goal, so half of those goals shouldn't even count. But anyways, USA did beat Haiti 2-1, and we got out of the group with 9 points, which means we did our job. But we all knew that USA was going to make it out of the group. The real test was going to see how we were going to handle the knockout stages, and see whether these players in Pochettino can handle the pressure of a knockout game. And our first test was against Costa Rica, a pretty good national team that has a solid young core coming through. Thing is though, their new star striker and main penalty kick taker, Manfred Ugalde, was going to miss the quarterfinals due to yellow card accumulation, and that was a huge advantage for the United States. But not initially, because early on in the 12th minute of the game, Max Arfston, of course a player who has no business being on the national team, gave away a silly penalty to give Costa Rica a chance from the spot. And with Costa Rica missing Ugalde, Francisco Calvo stepped up and he scored from the spot to put his nation up early 1-0. It did not start well for us. However, late into the first half, there was a slide tackle on Malik Tillman that low-key should have been a red card, but we did earn a penalty from that. Sadly though, Malik Tillman hit the penalty off the post and the game was still at 1-0. Luckily though, Diego Luna, who did step up for most of the knockout games, scored his first goal for the United States thanks to his deflected shot going past Keylor Navas to level the tie luckily for the US. And then right after the second half started, Malik Tillman, who did all the hard work, gave a good ball in a dangerous position for Arfston to score from, and he did to put the US up 2-1. From here on, I thought we would go on and win this game in normal time, but instead of controlling the game, Pochettino's tactics allowed Costa Rica to come back attacking in the second half, and they scored in the 71st minute after De La Torre and Arfston got ripped apart and Alonso Martinez scored to level the tie back up and send the game to penalties. And I'm not gonna cap, I thought here's where we would crash out the Gold Cup. I mean, we would have to win a penalty shootout against Keylor Navas. Surely y'all could understand why I lost all hope. But luckily, Matt Freese showed up and had a legacy game, diving the right way for almost every penalty. And thanks to him not just saving 1 penalty, not just 2 penalties, but 3 penalties in the shootout, he helped USA beat Costa Rica on penalties to make the semifinals of the Gold Cup. Thank goodness for that, or else that would have been an embarrassing exit for us. Poch would low-key deserve a sacking if that happened. But for the semifinal, with Guatemala upsetting Canada, something that I actually called what happened in my prediction video, I'm being the Jinx Buto allegations, we, as in the United States, would have to face Guatemala in the semifinals, and they were playing well all tournament. Now in this match, USA completely dominated the first 15 to 20 minutes, largely thanks to the moon boy Diego Luna, who's slowly becoming a fan favorite in this team. I saw tweets of some people liking him over Christian Pulisic. That's how liked Luna was becoming. But anyways, in the 4th minute, he gets on the end of a rebound and scored to give USA an early lead against a 90% Guatemalan crowd in St. Louis out of all places. And then in the 15th minute, he mixed the hell out of the Guatemalan defender and then scored a crazy long shot to put the Americans up 2-0 while pointing to the badge as he celebrated. But here's the thing, after these 2 goals, USA just sat on the defensive against the 106th best side in the world, Guatemala. And instead of trying to score more goals and control the game, Poch's entire game plan was to sit back, swallow up chances, and hope we held on. That was genuinely a pathetic tactical approach from Pochettino if I'm keeping it real. And due to that, we almost lost, with American-born Olger Escobar scoring a great goal in the 80th minute to provide a scare to the Americans. However, USA would manage to hold on against Guatemala and beat them 2-1 to progress to the final. finals. Thank goodness, because if we lost to Guatemala, that would have been embarrassing. We might have had to dissolve the entire US Soccer Federation, which honestly would probably do us more favors than harm, but we'll talk about that later. But now it's time to talk about the hyped out Gold Cup final between two intercontinental rivals who despise each other, USA versus Mexico. Keep in mind, the United States have not lost a competitive game to Mexico since 2019. It's the reason why I was allowed to make that USA owns Mexico video, because it was true. They couldn't beat us. So if we could manage to keep the streak alive, even with our B team, it would have been a huge accomplishment. I mean, we literally did that in 2021, where Berhalter won with the C team of the United States against Mexico in the Gold Cup. So it was definitely possible. And it actually seemed like we were going to pull off the upset against Mexico in this game. That's because in the 4th minute of the game, Berhalter would cross in a pretty good ball to Chris Richards, who had to reach back with his header and then somehow got it off frame and put the ball into the back of the net to obtain an early 1-0 lead for the United States. Shout out to Chris Richards. He's easily been one of the best players for the US this summer, and has definitely cemented himself as a starting center back for 2026. However, the other players, yeah, I can't really say the same thing. And like I said in the beginning of this video, the US have not shown this summer that they can hold on to a 1-0 lead, and this game proved no different. Because right after we scored in the 4th minute, Poch's game plan was to sit back and just pray and hope we don't concede. Pochettino is such a fucking pussy, man. I wouldn't care if we sacked him, genuinely. Like, look at these stats, man. We only had 6 shots in Mexico's 16, had 3 shots on target in Mexico's 8, and even had less possession of that. Plus, they beat us out in almost every single statistical category. I swear to God, bruh. They prevented us from having a single corner kick in this game too. Are we dead ass right now? And then Mexico would manage to come back in this game in the 27th minute, thanks to an absolute wonder strike from Raul Jimenez with his weak left foot and put it top in to level up the game 1-1. And shout out to Raul Jimenez, not only for him to come back after such a devastating head injury, but for him to celebrate honoring Diego Jota with a celebration. Mad respect for that. I'm a Liverpool fan too, so seeing this from Raul Jimenez was pretty heartwarming and emotional for me, even though I root against these guys as a USA fan. Now in the second half, it was much more of the same. Mexico had largely the better chances, and they would score another goal in the 77th minute thanks to Edson Alvarez, who somehow managed to stay on sides because of Alex Freeman's right foot, and he scored to give Mexico the 2-1 advantage, even though right before that, we low-key should have won a penalty. I mean, come on, this was a clear handball. He even redirected the ball, bro. It was going away from him. But whatever, man. Mexico were clearly the better team on the night, and they deserved the win, which by the way, they got. They won the Gold Cup on our head tops with a 2-1 win, leaving us trophyless in 2025, while Mexico snatched up both the Nations League and the Gold Cup. That is nasty work, especially with Mexico not even being that good. They're better than us, but they're not a world-class side or anything. Even in the final, sure, they had the better chances and the better players, like the 16-year-old Gilberto Moro, for example, but they weren't having a lot of shots inside the box, for example. They just had more shots in general compared to us, and then obviously they converted more, which is why they won. And for the US, wow, this is just depressing, huh? 1 year out of the World Cup and we're looking like this? Oof. Yeah, we got a lot of problems that need to be resolved. So let's go ahead and talk about the current issues. But before we talk about that, please remember to subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it and it means a lot, so thank you. And also if you guys can, follow my Twitter and my Instagram, both at Nabuto, if you just want to hear my thoughts on football games, transfers, and overall just to get to know me more. And also make sure to join the Discord server, link in the description, and also follow me on Twitch. Live streams may be coming soon, so if you want to, feel free to hit me up with that follow. Thank you. Now the first glaring issue regarding the USMNT is actually the USSF Federation themselves and the MLS, and it's becoming increasingly obvious that the institutions that are supposed to help grow the game in this country are potentially the ones that are holding us back the most. Let me explain. It's no secret that the US Soccer Federation favors the MLS over the other leagues in this country, like USL for example, and this can be seen through the Soccer United marketing, more commonly known as SUM, who had an exclusive commercial partnership with both the MLS and USSF for around 18 years, with of course a lot of money being involved, like giving USSF over $300 million in guaranteed revenue, and this was beneficial to both parties. But of course, there was conflict of interest, so much so that the Federation decided to detach themselves from SUM at the end of 2022. But the truth is, this favoritism towards MLS and marketing towards it, hence the MLS being in bed with USMNT allegations, are still very much in large. Like for example, MLS clubs were trying to dish the 2024 edition of the US Open Cup, with the US soccer leadership seemed willingly to be on board with that and compromise. And when an ex-USSF board member tried to negotiate a resolution, the higher-ups told him to stand down and he resigned from the Open Cup committee. That's crazy. Additionally, regarding grassroots in America, for around 12 years, US soccer put in millions of dollars into Development Academy, which was often referred to as DA, and this was a regulated network of elite youth clubs that helped develop a lot of current USMNT players. But in 2020, US soccer chose to shut it down and gave the keys to MLS regarding developing youth players, and that's where the creation of MLS Next came in, and they're now on top of the youth pyramid in the United States, and the development of any future players are in the hands and wallets of the MLS. Plus, the USMNT often regularly trains at MLS facilities and plays at MLS stadiums, which to be fair, it does kind of make sense why this happens. But regarding US Soccer's National Training Center that's currently in development, Atlanta United's owner has donated $50 million to it, and other MLS owners have also been approached by the US Federation to help contribute to this. And due to that, the MLS owners have leverage over US Soccer and the USMNT, and these two institutions being in bed with each other is a problem, more than just the pay-to-play system and the development of our players, which I went over in my last video about the USMNT. If you want to learn about those two things specifically, go check out that video. But the fact of the matter is, these two organizations making love to each other and helping each other out this blatantly is harming the USMNT. Now, I can't prove what I'm about to say, so everything else that I'm about to say regarding this issue is all alleged, but I have a nasty feeling that the CONCACAF Gold Cup is being used as an MLS marketing tool to prop up some of their players so they can get sold for millions of dollars, earning money for the MLS. I mean, the last time the US played an A team at the Gold Cup was back in 2019. Since then, in 2021, although we won it was primarily due to getting lucky in the final against Mexico. And keep in mind, that roster was filled with MLS players. Then 2023, the same thing, the roster was filled with MLS players. Now 2025 was slightly different because there were some European players, but I think that's only due to the fact that the World Cup was 1 year out. But even with these European guys, the roster was still filled with MLS players, half of them who don't deserve to be there. While for the CONCACAF Nations League, the one in 2021, 2023, and 2024 were filled with only our best players, who all played in Europe. While in 2025 too, it was more or less the same. And I think Pochettino, who I'm going to talk about a little bit more in a bit, is just a tool for them. They're paying him $6 million, and all he has to do for one tournament is to prop up some MLS guys. He's going to take that deal all day. Like I said, this is all alleged. These are just my own personal theories, my own hypothesis. It might not be true. Like, are you seriously telling me that a guy who's managed Tottenham and has taken them to the Champions League final, a man who managed PSG and coached the likes of Lionel Messi, Kylian Mbappe, Neymar, etc., and also coached Chelsea with a ton of top talents as well, looked at Ajamong and said that, yeah, this guy's the future of the USMNT striker pool? Like, come on, bruh. Come on, Mike. You don't think Ajamong was being propped up for this tournament just so he can be sold for $10 million or something like that to Derby County, earning money to the MLS, has nothing to do with that? Come on, yo. It's like the same thing with some of our other players, like Arston, who's also getting European offers. I'm also sure Diego Luna, who to be fair, he's actually a good player and deserves to be in contention for the 2026 World Cup spot. You're sure that they're not being benefited from the Gold Cup pushing MLS players primarily? Come on, yo. 1 + 1 = 2. It just makes too much sense. So yeah, I think the fact that USSF treats the Gold Cup like a marketing tool for MLS allegedly is disgraceful. And due to Mexico always treating this seriously, as they should, just makes us look 10 times worse. And then the players and fans complain about us being a bunch of haters, like Tim Ream did when we made the final, or that we don't show up. And why would we pay a couple of hundreds of dollars, or even more than that to be honest, to watch mid-MLSers play football? Pulisic ain't there, McKennie ain't there, hell, even Sargent wasn't there, but Ajamong was.
Are you serious right now, bro?
Genuinely, this team that was brought to the Gold Cup, I wouldn't pay more than $20 to watch these guys play. I'm being so serious. The Trinidad game was held close to me, and I still didn't show up. So yeah, Poch, wanna know why our fans aren't showing up? Maybe he picks some better players. But yeah, we'll see what he does in September when the A team is back available. And you know what sucks about this too? Is that the fact of me being honest about the USMNT, a national team that I love, and other creators are doing the same, like Tactical Manager, 11 Yanks, Macwell, etc. Because we're so honest and we're not just dick riders, we will never get sponsored by companies who are in relations with the USMNT, MLS, etc. But that's the price to pay for me being honest. Unbelievable, man. This world is cruel. Anyways, now that I've talked about the USSF and MLS harming the USMNT potentially, now I think it's time to talk about our head coach, Mauricio Pochettino, because a lot of blame has to go to him this summer. As I mentioned before, how can you look at your striker pool and think Ajamong is the best you got? Additionally, I feel like we need to utilize more wingers throughout this tournament. And yet, we have Sebastian Berhalter playing as a right winger. Bro, this guy's a midfielder. What the hell is this? We also had Quinn Sullivan on the bench too, by the way. And Pochettino also left out other wingers that we could have used, like Griffin Yao, for example. Probably because Pochettino doesn't even know he exists. Why doesn't he know Griffin Yao exists? Because Pochettino does no scouting. It's like he's not taking this job seriously. I mean, he literally went ahead and coached in a charity game with ISO Speed, while instead he should be working, going to visit players in Europe, in America, talking to them, etc. Like, bruh, Serginho Dest, one of the key players for the United States, came out and said that Poch never texted him or spoke to him before the June window. How are you not going to at least have a 5-minute phone conversation with one of your key players in this generation? Not only that, to my knowledge, instead of going to Europe to meet with their best players, like Berhalter did to his credit, this dude is out here going to charity games, going to Argentina to watch his old club play for some reason, while collecting $6 million. This dude scammed us. It's clear he's taking the piss. I mean, come on. You think this guy scouted Nathan Herrio and thought, yeah, let's bring him to the Gold Cup? No, man. Somebody's picking Poch's roster for him because he's not doing his job. Or the fact that MLS uses Gold Cup as a marketing tool, but I digress. Regardless, it's been a failure of a tenure so far. And if the World Cup wasn't next year, I think he would have already gotten sacked. But the fact that we paid so much money for him, and the fact that he willingly uses MLS players of the USMNT when half of them don't deserve to be there, and the fact that the World Cup is less than a year away, like I said, is probably a reason why we won't get rid of him. I mean, just the fact that there's been talk of Brentford potentially interviewing him, even though he said that never happened, the fact that he's even rumored to leave right now is crazy in itself in my opinion. But it's not just off the pitch stuff regarding Poch that's bad. It's on the pitch too. Like I said, how's Ajamong starting every game for you? He's mid. Then you have players like Max Arston. Are you serious? We can't do better than him? Nathaniel Brown is there to be recruited. At least least try to talk to him, bruh. Which Poch won't do because he doesn't want to recruit. Hey, buddy, we're not Argentina. A lot of top players with dual nationalities are not going to pick us off the bat. You need to try and recruit them like it's college basketball or college football or something. Come on, bruh. Nathaniel Brown would have done so much better. But you won't even speak to this guy, bruh. I feel like people don't realize this. Regarding Morocco's national team, the team who made the 2022 World Cup semifinals, yeah, their players are Moroccan. More than half of these guys are born and raised in Europe. They needed some recruiting to ditch their national team to join Morocco. Why can't we treat it the same way? And then also, throughout the entire Gold Cup, besides the game against Haiti, we use the same exact 11 for every match. No wonder these guys look gassed after 30 minutes against Mexico. They literally had no rest. We had good players on the bench too. Paxton Erickson literally balled out for Utrecht this past season. But nope, MLS just have to play on the pitch instead. They didn't even allow Paxton to start even one game. Despicable, man. Seriously. Pochettino, until he proves me wrong, which is literally only at the World Cup, is a clown. I'm not a fan of this hiring no more, man. He's just a puppet. That's all he is. Doesn't even look like he cares about this job. Talking about the US can be the best in the world. He's just making a mockery out of us, I swear. But now let's talk about the third issue. It's the players. And this is both from the A team and the B team. There's a lot of issues going on. First of all, what type of example does it show that Christian Pulisic wasn't interested in representing the United States this summer? And let's keep it 100. It's not because he wants rest 1 year out of the World Cup. And it's not the fact that he doesn't care about the US. Because I think the argument is pretty blasphemous, honestly. But I think the truth is, Christian Pulisic simply does not care about the Gold Cup. And he just thought it wasn't worth his time. That's what I think it is. And a part of me can't even blame him. It doesn't seem like the Federation takes it too seriously too. So why should he? But at the same time, players like Chris Richards and Tyler Adams came through and took it seriously. While Pulisic thought it was better for him not to. So I'm not really sure how to feel about him right now. I get it, but I also don't. But now let's talk about the other players who didn't perform in the Gold Cup. Like Max Arston, Patrick Agyemang, etc. I genuinely don't think that these guys deserve another chance with the USMNT for a long time. To be quite frank, Agyemang, for example, shouldn't be anywhere near the A-team roster. He's nowhere near good enough. And I highly doubt he'll do well in the championship with Derby County if I'm keeping it real. And if he does well, that says more about the championship than it does about him. I don't blame Agyemang about accepting calls, by the way. Shit, I would too, what the hell? But he's just not good enough to play for the USMNT. The fact that Stu Holden even came out and said everything that he said about him after the Mexico game should tell you everything that you need to know. The man who continuously dick sucks every single MLS player, especially this summer, is backtracking on his words. That's how you know that man Agyemang is cooked. And let's talk about the other players too now. This is a USMNT hit piece video, not just an Agyemang hit piece video. Matt Freese, yeah, he did really good in the penalty shootout, but other than that, is he really better than Matt Turner? I'm not too sure. I feel like we should have given Turner at least the Haiti game, but Pochettino did what he does best, and that's fuck all. Alex Freeman is not ready yet, clearly. I already said my piece about Arston. Tim Ream still did pretty good, but it's clear to see that he's declining, and we desperately need another center back to step up. Hopefully he's Noah Kai Banks. Berhalter's good at set pieces and shows fight, but honestly I just don't really see him with the A team. De La Torre has regressed since joining MLS. Todd Adams was alright to be honest. Malik Tillman did well and could be a starter with the A team for us, especially with Gio Reyna continuing to digress. Diego Luna for me should be a roster lock for the 2026 World Cup, but not a starter. He's got plenty left to prove. And we seriously gotta chill out with the Diego Luna glaze. Like CBS saying he should be the captain of the team. What the hell is that all about? Don't get me wrong, Diego Luna's good, but against the decent opposition that we played this summer, he didn't perform that great. Against Turkey, Switzerland, and Mexico, he didn't provide much offensively, while against the smaller teams in the region, he did. So there is potential there, but he's not there yet. And also, regarding that bloody nose against January, I feel like I've heard this story like 10 times now. It's about time we stop glazing him for that too. I get it, it was a cool moment, but I think all of us fans will continue to play for our country if called upon with the bloody nose, man, respectfully. I don't think it was that special, you know what I mean? And also, shout out to Luna for liking this reel about wanting to fuck tortas. I feel you, broski. Pause. Then there's Agyemang, and all I'm gonna say is I think Neil Candy might generally be better. And for the rest of the bench, there's nothing for me to say, because well, Pochettino never gave them a chance. But yeah, hopefully we show up for the rest of the friendlies leading up to the 2026 World Cup. And hopefully we look so much better with the A team when we go against the likes of Japan and South Korea in September. Now before y'all move on from this video, I do want to share something with you guys that I found pretty interesting. Throughout the summer, USA barely beat Guatemala, who are ranked 106th in the world, Haiti, who are ranked 83rd, Saudi Arabia, who are missing a ton of players who are ranked 58th, Costa Rica, who are 54th, while we lost to Mexico, who are ranked 17th, got our asses kicked to Switzerland, who are placed 20th, and Turkey, who are 27th. Not only that, since Pochettino took over, the United States have played 5 games against teams in the top 30 of the FIFA rankings, and we lost all 5. Guess what? At the World Cup, we're going to be facing teams in the top 30 of the world, especially if we want to go far. And the record against these good opposition, yeah, we might be cooked for the 2026 World Cup under Poch, no troll. So do I have hope? Honestly, I'm kind of losing a lot of it right now. I have blind optimism, but that's honestly about it. But anyways, how are you guys feeling about the USA right now after the Gold Cup campaign? Am I being too negative? Is there any reason for optimism? Can Agyemang play for Barcelona if he was just more clinical like Landon Donovan said? Let me know down in the comments. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please remember to subscribe. I really appreciate it. And please be sure to follow my Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and join the Discord community. All the links are in my YouTube description. And last but not least, if you want to learn about everything that happened in the June international window regarding the 2026 World Cup qualifiers, you definitely want to check out this video right here. You won't regret it.